This is the Jason Walker Show. Two-time National Sports Media Association Montana Sportscaster of the Year and three-time loser, the Jason Walker Show. The best local and statewide sports coverage, featuring the biggest guests from Montana.
Flint Rasmussen joining us here on the Jason Walker Show.
He's freaking exhausting, too. You used to dance a lot more. Yeah, I know, lady. I'm 51 years old now.
The NAI Hall of Famer Mike Van Diest joining us here, Jason Walker Show. And is it just a deal where quarterbacks have to be good golfers?
Well, that's all they have time for. They don't work out. They don't lift weights. They don't do anything else. They might as well go get on the golf course and at least have some fun.
And from across the country,
Doug Gottlieb, our guest here on the Jason Walker Show.
End of the day, remember, it's your show. It's got your name on it.
Howie Mandel, our guest here.
Jason Walker, deal or no deal?
the Jason Walker Show, broadcasting from the Major Mortgage Man Cave. Here's Jason Walker.
Yo, happy Wednesday. Jason Walker Show, Major Mortgage Man Cave. It is a middle of the week big show today. Yeah, great one. Looking forward to it. We are going to chat with the reigning Big Sky Conference women's basketball most valuable player from Montana State, Fallon Freese, will join us. Coming up here in about 15 minutes. Also, coming up in about a half an hour, Chantel McCabe from the Golf Channel will join us. Looking forward to both of those interviews today. Having some fantastic Twitter discussions. Oh, good stuff. Tomorrow on the show, author Don Wilson, also a fantastic writer, the Montana Sports Writer of the Year from the National Sports Media Association, Greg Rockach will join us Friday. Gil Brandt stops by, preview the NFL draft. Next week, Kirk McKnight, author Nick McCarville will join us as well. So, got to wait till next week for some of those. All right. Looking forward to today. Like I said, Fallon Freese will join us and also Chantel McCabe. Both, that's what she said. Because it is Wednesday, and that's what we do on Wednesdays. That's what she said with our good friends at Dinner's Done Right. Make sure you stop by Dinner's Done Right or Cafe Zydeco or the Motherlode or become a member at Green Meadow Country Club and get food to go there. Green Meadow had a stuffed pepper soup for lunch today. Looked so good. I don't even like stuffed peppers. Well, I kind of do. But anyway, it looked good. But you can follow us on the Facebook where you can watch live, YouTube Live, also Podbean, Network One Sports, and TreasureStateRadio.com. Big, like I said, big shows. So looking at what's come across today and what's been happening today, it's been one of those days where we had another cancellation, where Chaudère, unfortunately, Chaudère Children's Hospital announced today that the COVID-19 has taken out this year's Chaudère Soccer Classic. And that's a bummer. For 20 years, every year at Nelson Stadium at Carroll, the top seniors in high school soccer gather at Nelson Stadium to showcase their great skills. And they also, this is what's cool about it, is they don't just show up and play soccer. The kids also assist with a kids clinic, raise awareness for Chaudère Children's Hospital. They give back. We talked to a couple of athletes last summer that played in it, and it was one of the most rewarding things that they had done was play in the Chaudère Soccer Classic. But it wasn't the playing. It was getting to know some of these kids at Chaudère. And then the clinic, it's separate. But very bummed that some great kids won't be a part of the Chaudère Soccer Classic this summer from across the state. So that got canceled. Also, there was a report that came out today that Vice President Mike Pence talked with the College Football Playoff Management Committee, basically the Power Five commissioners, and the White House wants to obviously get sports going soon. Everybody wants sports to get going soon. But Big 12 Commissioner Bob Belsby said this, quote, "Our players are students. If we're not in college, we're not having contests," end quote. Which is basically saying they're not going to play football until, or any sport this fall, until students and student athletes are welcomed back as they should be. Now, so pro athletes can collectively bargain when they want to come back. College athletes can't. And think about this. The liability of college sports coming back too soon could be significant if all the reports are accurate that COVID-19 is going to make a big return in the fall. Now, none of us know. I don't know. You don't know. But that's interesting to keep an eye on that. So the commissioners, of course, will be the main entity that will decide when college sports return, of course, with input from NCAA, medical personnel, and, of course, their states. Think about this. So Florida Governor Ron DeSantis came out and wants NASCAR to run in Florida this soon. Also wants golf to take place soon. He said he'd open up the state for Tiger and Phil to play another grudge match. But think about this. If Florida were to allow it, let's just say Florida allows that. Like, hey, we're open. But Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, saying we're not. Well, that affects the Pac-12. So the SEC can open up, but not the Pac-12? That's not going to happen. It's going to have to be across the board. Now, Dr. Anthony Fauci, or whatever his name is, the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, said this today, that sports could return this summer, but without fans in the venues. Is that something you'd be interested in seeing? Do you want sports, but only if there's no fans? Now, the PGA came out today with its new schedule, a proposed schedule, saying that they're ready to go in June from the 11th to the 14th down at Colonial Country Club at Fort Worth, Texas with the Charles Schwab Challenge. Now, according to Golf Digest, that would be played with no fans. So, and then, they're moving tournaments all over the place. We'll talk to Chantel McCabe and get her thoughts and what the players are thinking about with the PGA and the USGA. But interesting stuff to keep an eye on, for sure, because we just don't know. And like I say, we're having, great discussions because there was a report out today about Montana that, so the first positive test for Montana was March 11th. Okay, so this is in the, and you can read this report online. March 11th was the first test positive. Now, according to Holly Michaels, who's a great journalist, that was for the woman in Maryland who hasn't been to Montana since like November. Now, there's a lot of people that say, well, that doesn't count. She hasn't even been here. But the first onset of some of this was March 1st, which is 10 days before state tournament started. The first positive test came out March 11th. Well, it didn't come out, but it was today it came out. That's when the first positive test in the state was. And I don't think it was that girl from Maryland. I think she was before. But that's 7 of the 8 state tournaments hadn't started yet. So now it's not just MHSA that made a bad decision with the state tournaments. It's your state government that made a bad decision with state tournaments. Because if you knew Wednesday the 11th there was already positive tests, why were you continuing with state tournaments? Now, I know that the report that came out this week that allegedly nobody at state tournaments, got sick with COVID-19. That came from Jim Murphy, the state health department, communicable disease control and prevention bureau chief. And I say allegedly because you don't know for 100%. So 7 of the 8 state tournaments started because this boys state C started in Missoula on the 11th, which is the day that the first positive test that we find out to now was what happened. So you went 2 days of state tournaments, well, really 3, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, knowing that there were positive COVID-19 tests. So now, like I said, it's not just MHSA. Now it is also on state government, Steve Bullock, governor, things like that, people like that. Because this is, I told you, this is bigger than what everybody wants it to be. And again, that's my opinion. If you disagree with me, tweet me, email me, get a hold of me. That's fine. We can have a great discussion. But we're going to wait now till April 24th. 9 days more wait to figure out if we're not going to have a spring sports season because it's not going to happen. 28 states have suspended spring sports, including Montana. 22 have flat out canceled their spring sports season. And that includes neighboring states, Oregon, South Dakota, Washington, Wyoming, Utah, in the Pacific Northwest. Arizona has canceled. New Mexico. But your spring sports are going to get canceled. There's not going to be school for the rest of the year because nobody knows where we're headed. Other states now are coming out today saying, hey, we're going to extend our stay-at-home orders till like May 15th. Washington, D.C., May 15th, extended today, their stay-at-home order. Other states to May 4th, May 11th, May this. So keep an eye on all that. And yeah, it would be great if we got high school sports back. It's not going to happen, though. I'm hoping that we get Legion baseball some point this summer. But we'll see. Okay, we're going to take a break. And when we come back, we are going to check in with the reigning Big Sky Conference Women's Most Valuable Player. She would transfer from North Dakota, had to sit out a year. How tough was that year sitting out, not being able to play? Fallon Frisiou will join us next here on the Jason Walker Show, which is always brought to you by our great sponsors. Some of them will start now.
Who doesn't love being number one? When your team's dominating the standings, or your favorite band rocks the charts at number one, it feels good, right? Kind of like how it feels when you have auto insurance with State Farm. Because making you feel like number one is an honor your local State Farm agent takes seriously. Through the good times and not so good, your State Farm agent's proud to be here to help life go right.
Call State Farm agent Mike Miller in Helena today. Spring is fast approaching and summer is just around the corner, so now is the time to get those windows tinted at Auto Concepts as the sun starts to heat up. Tinting is the best way to keep the sun out of your little one's eyes driving down the road. Plus, it just looks cool. Auto Concepts is your exclusive 3M dealer for tinting as well as the best clear bras in town. Auto Concepts clear bras will not fade or yellow over time. And don't forget about suspension lifts and power steps for your rig too. Visit AutoConceptsHelena.com or check them out on Facebook. Auto Concepts, the auto enhancement professionals. Yes, it's true that Montana is a long way from the Gulf Coast, but you can bring that Cajun flavor home with a stop at Cafe Zydeco. From po' boys to classic sandwiches, Cafe Zydeco has all the best Cajun in town. Are you in the mood for seafood gumbo or crawfish etouffee? Maybe you're craving jambalaya with some shrimp and grits. Head in for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or call ahead for pickup or delivery. Cafe Zydeco will fix all your southern cravings, even on a chilly Montana day. Cafe Zydeco is a proud sponsor of the Jason Walker Show. Have you thought about buying a home and just don't know where to begin? Well, when it comes to one of the most important purchases one can make, we understand it can be frustrating and confusing, but it doesn't have to be. Let the Major Mortgage team help you with all your mortgage needs. Major Mortgage means major service, and we would love the opportunity to help you today. Give J.R. McFadden, NMLS number 1246357, a call today at 406-465-1918, or you can visit him at 2001 11th Avenue, Building A, Suite 3 in Helena. Major Mortgage is a division of AMCAP Mortgage, NMLS number 129122, equal housing lender. During this time of uncertainty and stay-at-home orders, Dinners Done Right wants to remind you that they're still open. Just go to dinnersdoneright.com, place your order, and then pick it up for dinner that night, or plan ahead and order for the weekend. It's easy. Visit dinnersdoneright.com, register, pick your meals, then pick them up, or stop in and grab meals out of the front freezer. Dinners Done Right's taking extra precautions with extra cleanings going on with every piece of equipment and personnel. Dinners Done Right thanks you for your continued support, and may we all stay safe and healthy during this time.
Store-wide savings are what you'll find when you shop for new home furnishings at Rucker's Furniture. This means tremendous values on Helena's largest in-stock selection of home furnishings. When you shop Rucker's, you'll find store-wide savings on the furniture you want for every room in your home. And you'll also find our selection of Serta iComfort, the most comfortable beds in Helena. 12-month financing is available with approved credit on most purchases over $299. Ask for details. You'll find store-wide savings at Rucker's Furniture, 1010 Dearborn, Helena.
Welcome back to the Jason Walker Show.
Welcome back on a Wednesday. Jason Walker Show, Major Mortgage Man Cave. This segment is brought to you by our friends at Rucker's Furniture. Make the quality choice for your home. 1010 Dearborn, Helena. Still to come, Chantel McCabe from the Golf Channel will join us. Proposed PGA schedule came out today. We'll get our thoughts on that. Now, why did she get into the business? But all that on this day in history. Still to come, the walk-off as well. But I want to bring in our first guest today on the Mike Miller State Farm Hotline. She was the preseason pick to win the MVP in the Big Sky Conference. She then won the Big Sky Conference MVP at the end of the season, which unfortunately came to an end just a bit too soon. But Montana State MVP Fallon Freege joins us here now on the Jason Walker Show. Fallon, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am. I'm happy to chat with you because I've been following you since you were out at North Dakota. Are you back home in North Dakota?
I am. Yes, I am back home with some family for a bit.
How's the online schooling?
It's honestly not too bad for me. I think being a both semester sport, you learn to teach yourself while you're on the road pretty early, pretty quick, or else you start failing your classes. So yeah, playing basketball, I guess, when you travel, for conference games, you play Thursday, Saturday, you're leaving Wednesday through Sunday. So you really have no choice but to keep up with it when you're on the road. And honestly, it kind of feels just like we've been on the road for a long time. So it's not too bad. Definitely have been used to it. So yeah.
And just not playing basketball. That's the bad part of it.
Right. Yes. Eating lots of food in between. That's what we're doing.
Eating worse now than you did as a player?
Yeah, I would say, I took my diet pretty seriously this year to be in good shape. And then as I realized I was in pretty good shape, I definitely had lots of sweets during the conference season. When my mom would come and visit, we'd always try out Sweet Peaks ice cream and all those good stuff. I have a major sweet tooth. So when I've been home, there's just food everywhere. You don't have to buy your own groceries. It's just like everything's full of food all the time. It's crazy.
That is fantastic. Fallon Freege joining us here on the Jason Walker Show. All right, you're too young, but we were just talking about this. You're too young to know this band, but the Bee Gees, if people don't know how to pronounce your name, just think of the Bee Gees, right?
Yes, that is a good correlation.
Yeah, Freege, Bee Gee. I like it. Fallon, you had to sit out a year after transferring from North Dakota. And how tough was that year to sit out knowing that there was some great opportunities down the road in the next year, but you just had to sit and you couldn't do anything to help out the Bobcats?
Yeah, that was super tough, as one could imagine, especially when I was at North Dakota. I was, main player, started, all that kind of good stuff, has the stats, whatever else. So it was really unique. I wasn't to transfer due to not playing or anything like that, which I think really made it interesting and tough to have to sit. Really special, too, being able to stay in conference is super rare with UND leaving the year I was transferring, leaving the conference. So I was able to stay in the Big Sky, which is sweet, but definitely made it hard that year, just knowing, I just finished my junior year, so I had only 1 year left. I knew what all the teams played like, their style of play, their best players, how to stop them, the game plans, all that kind of stuff. I was really excited at first to bring that to the team and just help the best I could from the sidelines. But yeah, of course, as the season went on and really once conference started, it got super tough. I actually had a little foot surgery procedure done in the fall, a couple weeks into practice and whatnot. So I think the earlier games were easy to sit out just because I was doing rehab for my surgery and stuff. So I wasn't really able to practice anyway. But once I was cleared to practice and it was in the middle of conference season, yeah, it got really, really tough, especially those couple close games that redshirt year. I just wish I could go in for a couple minutes and help them out or, know how to guard a forward or post or stuff like that I've played against my whole career. So it was really tough, but I would absolutely say it made me hungry for this year. And in the off season and the summer, it just really kind of opened my eyes in a whole new way of course, learning the system and learning the team and how girls play, but how I was going to have to adapt to that and adjust to that to fit in with my style and the things that I've learned and I do on the court. So it was a really good year of learning, but obviously, yeah, it was tough. Really wanted to play, but I think it was a huge year of growth for me on and off the court. So I was telling Coach Ben today, I think I would do it again if I had to, just because it was just a great year just to get in a new environment and just kind of learn everybody around me.
So you were good friends with Riley Nordgaard, who ended up at Montana State, but you didn't get to play with her in college. You played against her, but you didn't get to play with her.
That is correct. Yep, I still get crap about that. We played for the same AAU, so like our summer basketball club team. We weren't on the same team, but we played for the same club. I was quite a bit younger. It was my first year, was her last year playing, so we didn't know each other too much. I just knew the name, and then when she was transferring to MSU, I obviously knew about that, and that was right when I was getting recruited for colleges and whatnot. So it was a really crazy timeline, and then talked to her here and there just about college and what to look for, and I didn't know her well at all, so it was weird I was even going to ask her that stuff. But then she ended up at Montana State, and I got a visit there, so she was my host when I was a senior in high school. That was her redshirt year, and we stayed in contact. And once I picked UND, she always joked that I was the only person that she's ever hosted that didn't commit to Montana State at the end of their visit. And Delaney Junkmeyer, Hannah Caudell, all those girls, Peyton, they all were like, that was like the most fun visit for us, even as your host. Like, how did you not commit? Giving me all this crap. Here we are 6 years later. I'm a Bobcat, but it was just crazy. And yeah, I loved it, but I don't know. I just really prayed a lot about it and felt like UND was the right place for me, and played against them. A lot of tough, hard, intense games, always close games, always just a battle between our teams, and stayed in contact with them quite a bit throughout my whole time, before and after games. And I remember the one time Riley would out, as a freshman when she was a junior, I believe, and then I was a sophomore when she was a senior. And we would always joke to each other on the free throw lines, small talk, stuff like that. And I never forget the one game in Grand Forks. We were up by like 6. We ended up beating them that game, and she would not talk to me on the free throw line. So I always gave her crap. I'm like, oh, so when you knew we were going to beat you, then you didn't want to talk to me, huh? Kind of thing. So I always joke to her. That's why I didn't transfer sooner. It's because that one time she didn't want to talk to me.
That is fantastic.
That's not the reason. So yeah, those girls were really awesome for me. In my times at UND, just the struggles I had there, they were really just kind of mentors to me, and just really helped me through a lot of younger years at UND. And Delaney and Hannah, I stayed in contact with them quite a bit. As my last year was their senior at UND was their senior year, so we shared a lot and talked a lot. And Delaney Junkmeyer was just a big reason to get me at Montana State, and just encouraging me and helping me see like how good it really could be. Because I'm aware grass, isn't always greener on the other side, and you just got to make the most of it. But just talking with her about all the stuff that I was really searching for seemed like Montana State was a great fit. So I give those group of girls, and obviously Coach Ben, all the credit for a great program and just really getting me there as a transfer for sure.
Fallon Friese, our guest here, the Big Sky Conference MVP, and soon-to-be MSU graduate as well. You don't get to walk. Is that more frustrating that you don't get to have a graduation, or more frustrating you didn't get to finish the season the way you guys wanted?
Definitely the season. Yeah, that was tough. You know, we really didn't feel like we totally peaked yet. We were getting better game by game. So to know we had the championship game left and then could have been in the NCAA tournament, our mindset all year with the really heavy upper class and experience is we didn't want to just make the tournament. We wanted to win a first round game and maybe second round game. And that was really our mindset the whole year, especially before conference. We played some pretty tough teams, and we took it pretty hard and seriously when we would lose to them, just because we knew, like, if we really wanted to make this year special, we were going to have to find a way to get everyone involved to be able to compete at that level. So I felt like we were definitely getting close to it, and I really don't think our team fully peaked yet. So it's tough just to know, I guess, what could have been, but I definitely would have rather had that than a graduation for sure.
Fallon, you get to play with you got to play with Oleana Squires, but the emergence, and Tori Martell was good, but the emergence of Darian White as a freshman, how impressive was that to be on the floor and watch her growth all season?
Yeah, that girl just means a lot to me. You know, we had a lot of talks early on from the summer. You know, I could just see her potential and see her work ethic, and I just really honestly just saw so much of that. It's just like looking at myself, you know, when I was a freshman coming in that summer, and I had, you know, my freshman group wasn't where I was, and I felt like that was where she was her summer when they first came after high school and whatnot. And I really just took her under my wing and just really tried to pour in a lot. You know, I knew she was probably going to be playing a lot just from how good she seemed in the summer, and I knew there might be some issues with upperclassmen not liking that same position, whatever else. And I was in that position when I was a freshman. So we really had a lot of good life talks and just mindsets and work ethic and stuff like that. So just to see her thrive and grow as the year went on, there definitely was, you know, crying conversations between the two of us. And, you know, just because I'm older, everyone assumes that it was just, you know, me to her, but that she really helped me a lot too throughout the year. And just stuff on the court, off the court, not playing well, getting in the gym together, encouraging one another. It was just so fun. And her ceiling is so high, and I cannot wait to see her and the rest of her group. I mean, that freshman class was awesome, really awesome. I would say the best freshman class I've had on my team since I've been in college, and just such hard workers and so great girls to be around. They just bring such a great atmosphere to the team. And I'm just really thankful that I got to play with them, and like Darian especially, you know, some of her passes and getting to the hoop, it's just sometimes I'm trailing the play just like, wow, how did she do that?
So you're saying
I'm not guarding her, you know? So
you're saying she's faster than you? She can get down the court faster?
Oh, just a tiny little bit.
Fallon Friese, our guest here on the Mike Miller State Farm Hotline. All right, so you're a pre-dental psychology majors, but where is my family? My dad's from Watford City. Where is Edmore, North Dakota?
So Edmore is right by Devil's Lake.
Oh, okay.
So the northeast side of North Dakota. Yep.
Yeah, gotcha. Devil's Lake, they used to have magician Jay Owenhouse from Bozeman. Devil's Lake has him every year.
Really?
Yeah. Small world, right?
I didn't know. It is.
So you're up, it's northern North Dakota then. So that's where because I get a little bit of a Canadian drawl in there. The out and about doesn't quite sound normal.
Yeah, my teammates always would get me when I'd say coach. They would always, coach. I'm like, I don't say it like that. So
that is great. Fallon Friese, our guest here. All right, so plans after your official graduation. I mean, Peyton Ferris is overseas or was overseas in Spain playing. We know Riley, but you have plans to maybe give it a go if we ever get back to somewhat normal, you know, lifestyles?
Yeah, so I signed with an agent 3 weeks ago after the season ended. We're definitely looking to play in Europe just because that will start in August, September area if things calm down in time with the virus and whatnot, of course. But I'm really open to anywhere over there. I just, you know, tell my agent kind of the competitive level I want and like a role I guess I would want on the team. And I mean, I'm as new to it as anyone, so he's handling all that stuff with the countries over there, and he gets contracts together, and then he just kind of shows them to me and talks to them with me, and pick a team is from what my understanding is. So that's the goal for this next year. That'll be really fun. I say I'm just going to do a year or two because I do need to get to dental school before I'm too old and forget all my knowledge. But Coach Ben thinks I'll play longer than that. So, I mean, she talks about my competitiveness and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, that's true, but I don't think I'll play that long. So we'll see. Definitely will be in Europe if things go well with the virus and everything this next year, and we'll see from there.
All right, so since you're into pre-dental and you want to go to dental school, I have to know this. And I should have asked other pre-dentists before this that play basketball. Do you ever have a person on the floor that you're just like, man, I need to fix your teeth when I become a dentist?
Yes.
And you don't have to name anybody.
It's so funny. My teammates, I mean, it's not like I look at people and think, oh, their teeth, you know, they sometimes like, don't look at mine. Like, you guys, I don't stare at everybody's teeth, but yeah, there's a couple that could use some dental work in some of the teams that we've played. And it's funny because after the game, someone always says it before I said, oh, Phil, I bet you didn't like their teeth, you know, and I'm like, I didn't even say that. But yeah, it's been a joke sometimes for sure.
And then with the psychology part of your degree, I mean, did you choose psychology just to get inside players' heads and talk some smack?
You know, it's really interesting story. So you know, pre-med, pre-dental, anything health-wise, that's not a major. That's just classes you take. So you have to pick a major. So when I was at UND, they had a pre-health major, which was for people who were pre-dent, pre-med, pre-vet, anything like that. And then once I transferred, they didn't have anything like that set up. So I had to pick a major. So my options were psych, soc, or general studies for where I was at to be eligible with the semesters I had to get the degrees, whatever else. And nothing against psych or soc majors at all. Brilliant degrees. You get your master's. Great people in this world. But I would always make fun of my teammates who are psych or soc majors. If you guys are taking the easy way out, you're not going to get your master's in this. It's the easiest classes you could ever take. You know, one of my best friends, I'm like, you are literally only a psych major, no minors. Like, what are you doing? You know, I always a crap. So here we come, full circle. I have to choose between psych, social, general studies. I'm like, is this a joke? Like, this cannot be happening. But yeah, I picked psych. It's always been interesting to me, I guess, why people are the way they are. So I thought that'd be interesting, and I got my degree in a couple of semesters, so I can't imagine stretching it out over 4 years. That would be miserable, but it was great. I'm probably not going to get my master's in it or anything like that, but I really enjoyed the classes, and I think you can apply it to a lot of things in life, so we'll see. I know Coach Ben joked that I'm going to be a counselor instead of a dentist, but I think dentistry is still in the lead.
There you go. Hey, my daughter is going to graduate Montana State with honors this year with a degree in psychology too. So.
Oh my gosh, wonderful!
But she also did like child stuff and then adult psychology. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of different things she was into. So.
Right. Yeah, you can definitely get into a lot of classes that give you a broad spectrum, and I'm sure like that's the honors thing and all that. But yeah, one of my best friends actually lived with all 3 years at UND. She did not take anything extra than what she had to do, and it drove me crazy as I'm sitting there in like organic chemistry and physics, and like we have a game tomorrow, and I'm freaking out, and she's like, "Oh, I haven't done homework in a week," you know. So.
That is awesome. Yeah, Fallon, I wish we would have chatted more during the season, but I look forward to catching up with you before you head overseas, if you're cool with that, and it'd be fun to keep track of following your career before you become a dentist. And I'm not going to smile so that when you rewatch this on Facebook or Twitter, you can't pick apart my teeth. So they're actually not bad. I have really good teeth. But I appreciate you joining us. Stay safe out there in North Dakota. I know there's not much to do in North Dakota, so just wash your hands and stay safe, and keep up the hoops and the good work, and we'll talk to you down the road.
I sure will. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Fallon Friese joining us here. Jason Walker Show, the Big Sky Conference Most Valuable Player. That's what she said. Brought to you by Dinner's Done Right. Make sure you order ahead, or you can go in, pick food up out of the freezer, and go on dinnersdoneright.com, check out the menu, order pay online, get it delivered at curbside, and enjoy a great meal this weekend. Thanks to Fallon for joining us and the Mike Miller State Farm Hotline. We'll take a break, and when we return, Chantel McCabe from the Golf Channel next.
Store-wide savings are what you'll find when you shop for new home furnishings at Rucker's Furniture. This means tremendous values on Helena's largest in-stock selection of home furnishings. When you shop Rucker's, you'll find store-wide savings on the furniture you want for every room in your home. And you'll also find our selection of Serta iComfort, the most comfortable beds in Helena. 12-month financing is available with approved credit on most purchases over $299. Ask for details. You'll find store-wide savings at Rucker's Furniture, 1010 Dearborn, Helena.
During this time of uncertainty and stay-at-home orders, Dinners Done Right wants to remind you that they're still open. Just go to dinnersdoneright.com, place your order, and then pick it up for dinner that night, or plan ahead and order for the weekend. It's easy. Visit dinnersdoneright.com, register, pick your meals, then pick them up, or stop in and grab meals out of the front freezer. Dinners Done Right's taking extra precautions with extra cleanings going on with every piece of equipment and personnel. Dinners Done Right thanks you for your continued support, and may we all stay safe and healthy during this time.
I'm done with this.
Thinking about trying something new? The Montana Air National Guard has so many exciting career fields to choose from, many that can open up opportunities in your civilian life. The best part? You'll be getting paid to learn a new trade skill right here at home. What are you waiting for? Let's get you in school and get you paid. Contact Leak Fecto at 406-788-8962.
Spring is fast approaching and summer is just around the corner, so now is the time to get those windows tinted at Auto Concepts as the sun starts to heat up. Tinting is the best way to keep the sun out of your little one's eyes driving down the road. Plus, it just looks cool. Auto Concepts is your exclusive 3M dealer for tinting, as well as the best clear bras in town. Auto Concepts clear bras will not fade or yellow over time. And don't forget about suspension lifts and power steps for your rig too. Visit AutoConceptsHelena.com or check them out on Facebook. Auto Concepts, the auto enhancement professionals.
More of the Jason. Welcome back to the Jason Walker Show.
I missed the post. I played the wrong one. That's okay. Welcome back, Major Mortgage Man Cave, Jason Walker Show. Get on the schedule now. Nitro Green. Okay, lawn, pest, and tree needs. They will take care of literally all of it for you. Mow your own yard, though. Be a professional. Be proud. Let them fertilize it. Let them take care of the spiders and the wasps or the hornets, whatever you got. But lawn, pest, and tree needs. NitroGreenHelena.com, 443-5088. Great interview with Fallon Frigie, Big Sky Conference MVP. Seriously, wish I would have talked to her earlier in the year. She's gonna be good overseas, and we'll talk to her this summer when she gets overseas. All right, on this day in history still to come, and we give a bonus. That's what she said. Now brought to you by our friends at Dinners Done Right. The golf season has been, well, like everything else, just don't know. And the PGA issued a schedule late yesterday, a proposed schedule. They've already moved the Masters, which was supposed to be this last week. U.S. Open's been moved. The Open Championships over in Great Britain have been canceled, not postponed. What do players think of all of this? And how did she get into the business? Her name is Chantel McCabe, and she works at the Golf Channel, and she joins us now on the Mike Miller State Farm Hotline. First off, I appreciate you joining us, Chantel. From Pittsburgh. Normally, you're based out of Orlando, but is Pittsburgh home?
It's quasi-home. I have probably the most ridiculous schedule travel-wise on the road, 25 to 30 weeks a year. And so I really have no true home. I spend half of my year as my fiance finishes his training at UPMC for his fellowship. So Pittsburgh is where he's at for this year. So I'm hunkering down with him.
Well, there's worse places to hunker down with than with the one you love, right?
Yeah. We are really getting the max of the quality time these days.
So when's the big day?
Not until next year, which we're really grateful because we had a whole boatload of friends getting married this year, and we were thinking it would be nice to kind of space things out, and especially after this pandemic, boy, was that the right decision in hindsight.
So I have to ask you this because I cover football and basketball mostly up here in Montana, and football coaches always say, or basketball coaches, don't get married during the season. You have to get married in the off season. Well, with golf, the off season's very short. Did you plan around that, or what are we talking about?
Yeah, unfortunately, if we were to go by those rules, we'd have Christmas week basically and the week before that to get married, and that didn't interest either of us. So I was insistent on an October wedding in my home state, New Hampshire. So I know a lot of people probably saw the video of him proposing at a golf course in Orlando. And so that only fed into the golf narrative. So it's kind of funny. It's following us everywhere.
Well, Chantel McCabe joining us here, Jason Walker Show, on the Mike Miller State Farm Hotline. The proposed schedule came out yesterday for the PGA Tour. And what was your first thought? Because it's saying maybe in June and maybe at Colonial Country Club in Fort Worth. A, do you think it'll happen? And B, what's your response?
I don't know how anybody can speak on what's going to happen. Obviously, we can only go by what government allows in certain states, and we see what happens in Florida with Governor DeSantis ruling WWE as a essential business, and that he'd do the same for a Tiger Phil match and starting golf up. So I would think that they'd find a way, a really low budget production to limit the amount of people to put something on airwaves, especially since it seems like President Trump has made it pretty clear he wants to get sports back on TV and not to put people in harm's way. Obviously, you got to look out for each other and for yourself. We're all antsy. I have been very strict myself about following all of the government orders. I've only interacted with one girlfriend at the very, very beginning before there were any lockdown measures put in place, and now with my fiance. But we didn't even get in together groups less than 10 back when that was a thing. So I've been very respectful of that. And I remember at the beginning, people were saying, well, why doesn't Golf Channel just take a camera and go and shoot some of the mini tour happenings? And I think it was still very scary and just a lot of question marks at that point. There's no right answer, but I would think based on the fact that a lot of people are going to continue having to stay home, and whether there's a staggered way to get everybody else back to work that maybe not be high risk, or if there's some kind of way to use those antibodies of people that have survived coronavirus. There's just so many things at play. I mean, I feel so bad for the people that have to make any decisions, because it's like being a parent for the first time, what I imagine it would be like. You hear all of this advice and all of this input, but it really is like case by case situation, and there's no rule book for how to deal with an international pandemic. But I would think the hopeful outlook is a really bare bones camera crew, and it's not going to be visually the same of what you see, because there's so many people who have to interact behind the scenes, touching wires, setting up towers and stuff. And that is not a one person job. It requires interaction. So I'd be hopeful that a dumbed down, so to speak, version could take place in June based on what we're hearing. But literally as of 2 months ago, we were still planning on playing the entire Players, and then the schedule got pushed back to May. So it's obviously extremely fluid, and I don't think anybody's going to look like an idiot if they're hopeful and then this gets pushed back to August. But I have some hope that this proposed plan is the most logical and most possible from what we've heard and observed so far.
Well, it sounds like, too, they're going to play the first tournament for sure, and maybe even after that without any fans. Now, I'm used to playing in front of no fans. Will the players be okay with that? It might actually be better.
Yeah, I mean, based on some recent interactions, I'm thinking back to what happened at the President's Cup, for example, it's not going to be normal for anybody, and it's really kind of a responsibility I think the players will take. And yes, of course, you want to play to the crowd and you want that energy. Golf, as we all know, is different than any other sport. But I would argue that it's underrated how much the fans can help. Think about the way that people talk about the Tiger Roars and how intimidating that can be. Or, just the momentum of saving par. Yes, you're doing that on your own, but, when you've got some knowledgeable golf fans in the crowd and they know it too, even subconsciously, that seeps into your mind and helps you. And I'm sure some of the negative stuff out there does affect you the other way. But who doesn't want to get back and be doing something? I think that's going to be the last worry on anybody's mind are there going to be crowds there, just to be able to provide any kind of escape for people that are really mentally being taken on a ride with this weird reality we're in now.
Chantel McCabe, the Golf Channel host, joining us here, Jason Walker Show. So you mentioned the PGA in August now, and then you've got the U.S. Open moved to September, and the Masters moved to November. That's an interesting week because you have a lot of big football games possibly happening at the same time, especially right around at the Augusta, Atlanta area.
Right.
Masters, if it's successful, could you see a move to November full time?
No, God, no. It's the pride and joy of April. So everybody talks about it. And I know Rory recently commented, you got to feel for the number one player in the world who the story was being written so perfectly for. He's statistically had the best stretch of golf in his career, even going back to other really good stretches in the last time he was world number one. But it's the tradition. The whole thing about Augusta is going there in April, the azaleas, the drive down Magnolia Lane. It essentially kicks off the golf season, and that's the way players refer to it. And it's a staple. So and also they don't love the way it's going to play in November. They don't want it to be the cold temperatures, which are inevitable. Mm-hmm. This is what they made from the scraps, so to speak. And they don't want to give that up.
One quick other golf question, but the Open Championship is canceled, and not even postponed or moved, just flat out canceled. That's a big bummer because that, to me, I think is my favorite major. But you just, with the uncertainty of everything, but how surprised were you that they didn't even try to move it?
I guess I wasn't that surprised because there's so many things we don't, as a public and even as the media, get all the full details on until situations like this. How many people would have been aware that there's an insurance policy for things like this, as detailed as what we saw in tennis, that there's been revisions to what they've had for their biggest championships with specific language of what they get with their insurance policy for pandemics. Mm-hmm. So there are so many pieces that are, really deep, dark down the rabbit hole of, the fine print. And obviously from a fan standpoint, you don't want to see any tournaments gone, and you certainly don't want to see majors gone. But with now we're seeping into over 2.5 months without golf that we know almost for certain is going to be our reality. So there's only so many days left. There's only so many days that the weather would be tolerable to play. So, the timing, people might have questioned why they do that so early without having all the facts, but we're getting less and less days to work with as a whole for every tournament.
And of course, the weather at the Open is always unpredictable anyway. Chantel McCabe joining us here, Jason Walker Show. All right. So how did you decide to get into media and broadcasting? Because I love women in sports and women in broadcasting, and I'm a huge supporter, and you've done it well for a long time.
I appreciate that. I think it's important that it's not just women in sports, but it's women that are good at it. And there are so many young ladies who come up to me or reach out to colleagues of mine saying, I want to do what you're doing. And they don't have any game plan. We don't have the answers. Few of us have answers when we're young, but the big thing to me, I was just on a call with Jane Slater from NFL Network, and we were trying to mentor with some other women who have succeeded in different walks of their broadcast profession, what it takes. And my famous line is, if you or I or anybody else just wanted to get on TV, then you're better off auditioning for one of these reality shows and getting on The Bachelor, because the grit and the editing that you will have to do with your own video that you shot yourself and one-man band, and the grind that it takes to sort out the people who want it for one reason versus the other is it's rigorous. And I'm happy to be where I'm at, and it's certainly always a learning curve. Every sport is, I think, is very different to cover. Covering hockey, traveling with a team, being in the locker room every single day, having to come up with stories for the same team, even when they're losing, is a very different atmosphere and environment, and requires different skills than covering a sport like golf, where you're usually only interviewing the winner.
Right.
So it's so fascinating to me, these things. I never really thought of the intricacies of one sport to another, but I fell into it from being a sports management major at University of New Hampshire. And then one of my responsibilities was creating content for the YouTube channel that we were freshly unveiling. Now it's part of protocol for every athletic department, but I was just helping them create content, learning on the fly. And then I just decided to take that run, do a lot of internships, learn more about it, and have rode that wave ever since.
Chantel McCabe, our guest here. All right, so you mentioned the hockey with the Hurricanes, but you also cover lacrosse, and then with the golf. Which is your favorite, and which is the most tough that you've covered?
I would say definitely lacrosse is the toughest, because it's a brand new league. The rules are different than the leagues in the past that have existed. So not only are we as broadcasters, very few lacrosse experts out there, are we learning about the sport. It's a lot faster paced than, well, of course, golf, but it's we're able to interview and encouraged to interview players while they're in the penalty box. So as action is happening, so you're really doing absolutely every single thing on the fly, and that is a huge challenge in and of itself, because you don't even have stats to look at, because stats take a few minutes to process, and
Sure.
We're already out there and have already done the interview by the time those are released. So it's that to me is a beautiful piece of art, because you really have to find the shading and find the right colors to use and when to pick your spots. And so it really has been quite the uphill battle to not just learn the rules that have never existed before, but to keep up with the sport and deliver respectable and accurate information as things are unveiling live in front of everybody else.
What's your all-time favorite interview?
All-time favorite. I have such a soft spot for a lot of the no-name players, so to speak, and the guys that I've seen grind and covered in college, and then especially come out on the PGA Tour. It's crazy to me. Interviewing big athletes and with big names, they usually don't tell you how they're really feeling. They've got to keep their guard up. They've got vested interest in not revealing all of their cards, but you get so much emotion and authenticity out of guys who people don't know their background. People aren't dissecting what they do every day. People, don't have access to them all the time or interest in them all the time. So, I think a recent interview I did, Andrew Landry, who won in California, and the last time he played that tournament and I had covered it, he lost in the playoff to Jon Rahm. And it was crazy. I interviewed him on the losing end of the playoff, and then I interviewed him again as the winner, his second PGA Tour win. And I remember, between his first and second, he was talking about all of the demons and the, having his first child and the doubt and the, worry about, paying for his coach, his caddy, his trainer, all of these costs that people don't think about when, you're a professional athlete. You think money is endless, but, he and I had some very real chats in between these interviews about what life looks like, what his mental demons are. And to me, interviewing him on the other end of conquering those is the most fulfilling interviews that you can do.
I think that's well said, because I've interviewed a lot of athletes and coaches and stuff, and to me, it's the conversations off air, off camera, that are most intriguing. And whether they ever make the air waves is it doesn't matter, because you have that closeness developing then. And when athletes trust you and coaches trust you, it opens up a whole new different world, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's funny because, obviously the first thing people ask you, when you say you work at Golf Channel, oh, have you interviewed Tiger? Have you interviewed Rory? Do you know Brooks Koepka? It's like, yeah, but there's nothing that they say to me that's different than what they say to other people. And Rory is actually a very pleasant interview because he's like that with everybody recently, in terms of that transparency and really exposing himself and being vulnerable to the ruts that he has. But yeah, I just find it to be so relatable when,
Yep.
You get to talk to these guys, and they have that appreciation and the outpour of emotion that it's hard to get that a lot of times.
All right, couple final ones, because I know you got to run. Sure. But what's your handicap? Are you a good golfer?
So I didn't actually start playing or get a coach until I got to Golf Channel. I would just kind of play with my dad, once a month or so, and we'd have beers and cigars, and that was my version of playing golf. And I have a high handicap, but I'm happy with where my game's at. My fiance and I enjoy playing together. I got him involved when we met a couple years ago, so he's usually my golf bud, and we'll play for who makes dinner that night.
Nice. I like that. My wife's, she got into it following me around for a while. So she said I have to get back into skiing, though. And I'm not, my golf is warmer and you can drink beer and not have to worry about hitting a tree, right?
Hey, are you kidding me? Liquid courage on the slopes. I mean, you get a little flask in that big toe, you'll be just fine.
I like it. All right. What's your favorite course to go to?
I love Pinehurst just because I love North Carolina.
Okay.
I love that kind of escape and going back in time a little bit. I'm a history nut, so I appreciate everything about Pinehurst and their illustrious history.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously with USGA and amateur golf. So I would probably, it's funny, somebody just sent, one of these challenges and said, if you could, quarantine at any place, where would it be? I think Pinehurst calls my name. I actually haven't played any golf on the West Coast, so I'll have to get out there. But yeah, to me, Pinehurst is my cup of tea, and I really enjoy that area as a whole. So I think I'm going with Pinehurst.
I like that. When you get to Montana next year, we'll go out come to Helena, and we'll go to the country club and bring the husband, fiance, whatever. We'll have a good time, and we'll have some laughs on the golf course at the country club here.
Sounds great. Yeah, I was so close to you in Wyoming. I've gone there a few times now, and I haven't brought my clubs, so I've got a lot of catch up to do on that side of the country.
You definitely do. Chantel McCabe, appreciate the time. Keep up the great work. Love watching your work, and it's a pleasure to chat with you, and hopefully we can chat down the road.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me on. We'll see you in Montana next year. Stay safe.
Chantel McCabe joining us, Jason Walker Show. Good stuff. Thanks for joining us on the Mike Miller State Farm Hotline. And it's not just a bundle or a combo. Mike Miller understands you work really hard for your car and your home, and he knows what they mean to you. And he's here to help you keep them protected and give them the protection they deserve. Talk to State Farm agent Mike Miller in Helena for your home and auto insurance today. All right, real quick, let's do On This Day in History. And it is National Glazed Spiral Ham Day. It is also National Rubber Eraser Day. Take a Wild Guess Day was supposed to be Tax Day. That's now in June, I think, or July. Titanic Remembrance Day. Banana Day. 1927, Babe Ruth hit the first of his 60 home runs that year. 1947, Jackie Robinson becomes the first African-American to play in the majors with the Dodgers. 1997 rather, baseball then honored Jackie Robinson by retiring number 42 for all teams. It is Leonardo da Vinci's birthday today, born on this date in 1452. Samantha Fox was born on this date in 1966. Huge crush on her growing up in the 80s. Peter Billingsley, born on this date in 1972. Abraham Lincoln died on this date in 1865, 9 hours after being shot. The Titanic sank officially on this date, began at 11:40 last night, finished at 2:27 this morning in 1912. Ray Kroc opened the first McDonald's in Des Plaines, Illinois. He also used to own the San Diego Padres. I say that because in 1975, the birth of the San Diego Chicken on this day in history is brought to you by our good friends at the Motherlode Sports Bar, Casino, and Restaurant. And let's get to this.
We're almost at the end of the show. What did we learn? And what did he miss? Time for the walk-off.
All right, real quick. We learned that more sports are being canceled. Show-Dare Soccer Classic canceled for the summer in Helena. It's a bummer. Thanks to Fallon Frigie for joining us. Big Sky Conference MVP, Montana State University Bobcat, previously North Dakota. Also, Chantel McCabe joining us from the Golf Channel. Tomorrow, we're going to talk to author Don Wilson, and Greg Rakoc will join us. We'll talk about his article that he wrote yesterday about the Big Sky and how they're adjusting or potentially planning to adjust for the sports seasons. We'll see you tomorrow at 4. It's the Jason Walker Show.
The Jason Walker Show is produced by the Jason Walker Media Company. Any reuse, rebroadcast, or retransmission without the express written consent of the Jason Walker Show is strictly prohibited. Just listen, watch, and enjoy.